All right, Krishna, everyone. This is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology, and today is Bhakti Wednesday. So we're going to take another look at a passage from the Nectar of Instruction, also called the Sri Upadeshamrita. And this is the fourth text we've been working our way through piece by piece. And today we're going to talk about 6 of the symptoms of spiritual companionship. I think this is important because a lot of the times the spiritual path can be a lonely one. It's one that hopefully you get to share with a spouse or a lover. That would be, for most people, sort of ideal. But if not, then you hope that you have friends in your life that share some meaningful similarities in terms of their spiritual compass sort of being oriented in the same way that yours is, and you maybe share an interest in similar spiritual topics. But here are some of the symptoms of spiritual friendship according to this ancient text. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prashadam and offering prashada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So let's use the word devotee here and just say devotee is, let's just say broadly speaking, anyone who is concerned with loving God and loving others. Or the 2 commandments of Jesus, central to Bhakti as well: love God and see God in all beings, and therefore love all beings as part and parcel of God. So it's a love vibration, right? And we've talked about that in lots of these Bhakti videos. So once you have that in common with anyone, the potential to cultivate a spiritual friendship is there. And we're lucky if we have that with a spouse or partner or a friend or two in our lives. I mean, it can be very rare. It doesn't mean that we ignore or dislike other people. It's just we need some spiritual companionship in our life. And when you do have it, these are some of the symptoms that you have a spiritual friend, or some of the things you can do to cultivate spiritual friendship with a like-minded seeker. To offer gifts in charity and accept charitable gifts. Well, let's just talk about this in modern terms. Doing thoughtful things for people. So let's say you're in a marriage, and let's say, you know that your spouse has had a rough day. Typically maybe they do the dishes and you have some other duty. Maybe you say, hey, you know what? Why don't you just go take a walk and I'll do the dishes. Similarly, if you are, I don't know, if you have kids, you could take diaper or bath duty or something. So there are things that we can do for each other that are simply ways of saying, I'm here, I support you, I see you, I love you. Thoughtful gestures, small gifts, tokens of affection. When you want to cultivate spiritual companionship in your life, one of the symptoms, according to this ancient text, is that you offer gifts. And let's just say gifts, broadly speaking, being anything meant to be thoughtful, supportive, helpful, sweet, kind, compassionate, affectionate, to your spiritual friends or to your spiritual companions. And you should be in the practice of also receiving that same kind of, should be a reciprocal dynamic. There should be a give and take of doing and caring for one another through thoughtful gestures, maybe gifts, things like that. So I think about that book, The Love Languages. I think it was 6 languages of love, or 5 languages or something like that. There's different ways of giving gifts, perhaps, but the spirit of this text, to me, says a symptom of spiritual companionship is that you are giving and receiving things with a spiritual friend that are thoughtful and meant to be supportive and affectionate. That you reveal your mind in confidence and that you inquire confidentially. This is to be one of the most important things, that you have friends in your life who will reveal what they really think, what they really feel, what's really going on with them, and that you can do the same, and that it's confidential, and that there's trust. That we can tell someone where we're at, what's going on in life, how much, how much confusion is there about therapy. So many times people think, well, I don't want to go to therapy, there's nothing wrong with me. And that, really the purpose of therapy from the standpoint of developing spiritual relationships while in this lifetime, you could say, is nothing more than to have a confidential, sacred space for revealing ourselves, revealing what's going on deep inside. Because not everywhere and not with everyone can we do that. So to reveal your mind in confidentiality and to ask important questions in confidentiality of others. I started speaking to a therapist about a year after becoming a father because I was having some really strong and difficult reactions to my daughter's colic. She cried and screamed probably 60 to 70% of the time she was awake for about the first year of her life. It was nothing my wife or I could do or didn't do, and we tried everything. The most annoying thing is when someone gives you advice in that situation, honestly, because they think that you haven't tried everything under the sun already. But I went and started speaking with a therapist because I had to reveal to someone privately, I didn't want to just, my wife and I we share a lot, but, someone else to carry part of the load, right? To say, I don't think I like being a dad. This is really, really hard. Of course, I love it, but a lot of the times, the things that we reveal in confidence with someone are not symptomatic of a problem that needs solving as much as they are things that need to be shared and revealed. Cared for not so much by the presentation of a solution as much as the presentation of our ears and our hearts listening. An arm around the shoulder. I'm here for you. Laughter. I know what you're going through. I felt something similar, So sharing ourselves in confidentiality with people we trust about what's really going on in our spiritual lives, in our internal sphere. And that should be reciprocal. It shouldn't be like, well, I always hold space for my friends, but I don't reveal myself to my friends. No, revealing your mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially. How are you? Here's how I'm doing. How are you? Accepting Prashadam and offering Prashad are there as well. What does that mean? Well, that's food. Such a simple thing. Such a simple thing. Prashadam, it means blessed food. Of course, it means food that's been prepared with love, usually for your altar, for like, say, Krishna and Radha on your altar, and offered and then eaten. As we think of it as, the deities eat the food presented, and then the remnants on the plate, because they eat in a spiritual way. When you present something on the altar, they eat through the eyes of the deities, you could say. So at any rate, they eat the food, and then we eat the remnants. And that's done in India all over the place for thousands of years. And the message here is that you should do that with your spiritual friends, that you should make food together, offer it to the divine, and then eat it together. That you should accept it and offer it. You've made some food for me that you specially made with love and offered to your altar at home. I've made some cookies for you. So simple. Think about these simple things. Make food for God, make sacred food and give it to each other. Give gifts of thoughtfulness and affection to each other, and reveal your hearts to each other. Those are the symptoms of spiritual companionship. People who share the path of, I'm learning how to love my source. I'm learning how to cultivate the awakening of my spirit soul. I'm learning how to see God in all things. It is not a solo journey. It is a journey of companionship. How could we develop a personal relationship with God if we can't develop a personal relationship with the God dwelling in all things? So part of realizing God is to realize it in each other and to love each other. The simple advice from this old text: eat sacred food together, give each other nice food that you prepare in a godly way. Reveal yourself in the deepest trust and confidentiality. Reveal your mind to each other and inquire. Make sure you're both sharing. And give each other gifts, whether that's thoughtful gestures, words, affectionate tokens of affection. Do those things and you will grow spiritual relationships. And in Bhakti Yoga, if you develop relationships with other people who love God, that is thought to be more important than, in some ways, trying to go directly to God yourself. There's many instances that says, you know what? The real devotees are not the ones who say, I'm a devotee of God, say Krishna. I'm a devotee of Krishna. But they say, oh, I'm a devotee of these people over here who are devotees of Krishna. In other words, I, you know, I'm not interested in like just me and God in some, vacuum together. I'm interested in finding God by serving the people who love God, that seem to have a connection with God that I admire. That's the humble position. And that's the position of spiritual friends. I say, oh, I'm not, it's like I need to be around people who love God and whose relationship with God, whose spiritual interior is somehow admirable to me. And I need to give them some food. I need to give them some sweetness. I need to give them affection. I need to like have a friendship with them and reveal myself to them, because that's how I'm going to get closer to God, is if I'm around those people, because they've got it. Not that we say, I'm so bad in comparison. It's not a comparing game. It's an admiration game. I see God glowing in that person. I want to be their friend. And if we do that, then Bhakti says all over the place that is actually the path to getting close to God. Get close to God's people. Get close to the other people who love God. And that's how you'll draw closer and closer really, really quickly, compared to like, well, it's just me and God in my meditation chamber, like that. So spiritual companionship, spiritual friendship, so important in some of the symptoms of spiritual friendship. I hope this has been useful for you. And if you guys have any questions ever about Bhakti Yoga, we're making our way through the Nectar of Instruction, but always happy to take a detour for questions. Email info@nightlightastrology.com, put Bhakti Q&A in the subject line, and we can always take a question from the audience if you have them. Otherwise, hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas if you're celebrating. And we'll be back together again next week prior to New Year as well, or any holidays you're celebrating this time, the solstice as well, Hanukkah around this time of year too. So happy holidays to everybody, and look forward to seeing you again next week. Hare Krishna.